We are seeing calculus for GATE mathematics. Two lectures have been taken through Zoom only. This is our third lecture. The syllabus we have already discussed, and in this today's lecture we'll cover partial derivatives, total derivatives, definite and indefinite integrals, application of definite integrals to obtain area and volume. These are the main topics that we'll cover in today's lecture. So we start with fundamental theorem of calculus. You must have known, if we take the integration of some function f of x dx, if it is something like capital F of x, then for the finite integral, or we can say if the limits are there for the integration, then we have to write f of b, f of upper limit minus f of lower limit. That is called fundamental theorem of calculus. And if you want to write f of x, then it will be defined as integration a to x f of t dt. This is this one. This is opposite to that, and this is called second theorem of, or second fundamental theorem of calculus. First theorem is integration f of x dx is f of b minus f of a, and similarly opposite to that is f of x is equal to integration a to x f of a f of t dt. Okay, then some properties of derivatives. Derivative of f of x plus g of x. If there is addition, we can separate the derivatives. And for subtraction also, derivative can be separated. Then f of x into g of x, that is UV rule. First function into derivative of second plus second function into derivative of first. Next is derivative of f of x by g of x, u by v into derivative of f of x, derivative of u minus u into derivative of v upon v square. So next some formulas are there. First formula, just this is overview. So derivative of x raised to n is n into x raised to n minus 1. Derivative of ln x is 1 by x. Derivative of log x to the base a is log e to the base a into derivative of log x, that is nothing but 1 by x. Derivative e raised to x is e raised to x. Derivative of a raised to x is a raised to x log a. Derivative of sin x is cos x. Derivative of cos x is minus sin x. Derivative of tan x is sec square x. Derivative of sec x is sec x tan x. And derivative of cosec x is minus cosec x cot x. Next, derivative of cot x is minus cosec square x. The derivative of sin hyperbolic x is cos hyperbolic, and cos hyperbolic is sin hyperbolic. Remember, in case of hyperbolic, no negative sign, and that is in case of cos, it is minus sign. Next derivative of sin inverse x, it is root 1 upon root 1 minus x square, and cos inverse x is minus 1 upon root 1 minus x square. Next is derivative of tan inverse x, that is 1 upon 1 plus x square, and derivative of cosec inverse x is minus 1 upon x into root x square minus 1. Similarly, that of sec inverse x is similar as cosec inverse, and derivative of cot inverse x is 1 upon 1 plus x square. Okay, next is application of derivatives. So first application is increasing and decreasing functions. So what is actually increasing and decreasing function is, any function f of x is said to be increasing in that interval ab if for x1 is less than or equal to x2, if f of x1 is also less than or equal to f of x2 if you have find out the value of function at x1 and x2, and this condition holds for all values of x1 x2 in their interval only, then that function f of x is said to be strictly, oh sorry, then that function is said to be increasing. When it is said to be increasing, when x1 is less than equal to x2, that implies f of x1 is less than or equal to f of x2. If there is less than equal sign in between, that is called increasing function. Next is the function is said to be strictly increasing. Strictly increasing means there should not be equal sign. So if x1 is less than x2, that implies f of x1 is strictly less than f of x2. If there is strictly less than sign, then it is strictly increasing. Remember. Next definition, a function f of x is said to be decreasing if for x1 less than equal to x2, f of x1 there is now greater than or equal to f of x2. For this condition, if there is greater equal sign, then we can say this is a decreasing function. And there is one more term that is strictly decreasing. So strictly decreasing is for x1 is strictly less than x2, f of x1 is strictly greater than f of x2, then that is called strictly decreasing function. Then a monotonic function is any function which is either increasing or decreasing. If the function is increasing or decreasing, it is called monotonic function. And if it is not either increasing or decreasing, then it is not monotonic. Okay, next is some important conditions for increasing decreasing functions. So the first condition is for f of x is suppose continuous in the closed interval AB and differentiable in open interval AB. And then if f of x is strictly increasing on AB, then what will happen is f dash x will be strictly greater than 0 for all x. Once again, function is continuous on AB, it is differentiable on open interval AB, then it is strictly increasing on AB. It will be strictly increasing if f dash of x is strictly greater than 0. Remember. And it will be strictly decreasing when f dash x is less than 0. You are noting down. For next example, we have to use it. So strictly increasing, derivative is greater than 0, and strictly decreasing, derivative is less than 0. Second, for function f of x which is differentiable and it is defined on the interval AB, then if that f dash x is greater than 0, for all x belongs to AB, then f of x is increasing. This is just a vice versa statement, that is if and only if condition. If that f dash x is greater than 0, then we can say f of x is increasing. And if f dash x is less than 0 for all x, then f of x is decreasing. For example, let us find the intervals for which f of x is equal to x raised to 4 minus 2x square is increasing or decreasing. So you have f of x, x raised to 4 minus 2x square. Then a condition says if f dash of x is, so we have to find f dash of x. F dash of x, 4x cube minus 4x. That is x is common, 4 is common, take it outside. 4x into x square minus 1. So for increasing function, we have to find the interval for which intervals the given function is increasing or decreasing, right? So we have to find derivative, we have find it out, and for increasing function we know f dash of x is greater than 0. We are using that condition, that is 4x into this is greater than 0. That is x into, as if we equate it to 0, so 4 will divide to this side, that will not create any problem. So we are actually focusing on variable only. So x into x square minus 1 is factorized as x plus 1 and x minus 1, which is greater than 0. Now, the values of x are 0, 1 and minus 1 that we have plotted on a line. Now, for that f dash of x function, note for f dash x function, that is 4x into x square minus 1, right? So there are 3 points, x is 0, x is minus 1 and x is 1. So minus 1 is here, we'll calculate f dash of minus 1. So it is f dash of minus 1 will be, just calculate it, 4 into minus 1 minus 4 minus 1 square, 1 minus 1, that is 0. So add 0 into anything is 0 and 0 can be positive. So at minus 1, f dash is positive. So in between 0 to minus 1, we take any one point. So suppose if I'll take minus half, so we'll check here minus half, substitute here minus half. What we'll get? 4 into minus half, minus 2 into 1 by 4 minus 1, something negative, right? So negative into negative, that will be positive. So this point is also positive. So we'll check now for 0. Substitute 0 here. So 0 into anything is 0. That is again positive. So in this interval, minus 1 to 0, all the values are positive for f dash. Okay. Behind that minus 1, take any one values and check. So suppose we are taking minus 2. Take minus 2 here. It is minus 8 and minus 2 square. 4 minus 1, 3. 3 into minus, it is negative. So if we check for any value here, it will be negative. For the values here, this is positive. For the values in 0 to 1, if we check for 1, 4 into 1 minus 1, that is 0. In between, we check for any value, 0 to half. So suppose check for half, so it is 2 into 1 by 4 minus 1, that is minus. So 2 into something minus, that is negative. So this interval is negative, and if we'll check again for 1 to infinity, that will be positive, right? So if now we have to check for increasing function, note if we are checking for increasing function only, then we have to consider the intervals where it is positive function of f dash. So here it is positive is, first positive is in minus 1 to 0 and second is in 1 to infinity. So what is that? So what is the interval where function is increasing? That is minus 1 to 0 union 1 to infinity. There is the function increasing. So I want to ask you now the decreasing function. What is the interval of decreasing function? Anyone? Just unmute and tell me the answer. What will be the interval where the function is decreasing?
Minus infinity comma minus 1 union 0 comma 1.
Very nice. Correct? Huh? As we are counting positive for increasing function, so that's why we have to count negative for decreasing function. So next is for decreasing function, this condition we know, f dash of x is less than 0, that is this is less than 0, everything is same again, and we are drawing this again, there is minus plus minus plus. So minus is here now and minus is here. As previously we have shown that only, right? So for increasing, positive intervals, and for decreasing negative intervals, that is minus infinity to minus 1 union 0 to 1. Getting? Good. Sure. We'll move to the next question. Any doubt? Okay. We'll move ahead. Partial derivatives. So partial derivative, we know it very well. So dou f by dou x, dou f by dou y. There are two or more variables. Okay, then z is suppose function of x and y. Then dou z by dou x can be defined as, this is the definition, limit h tends to 0. If it is taking derivative with respect to x, then x will only change, x plus h, y will be as it is, minus f of xy upon h. This is the definition. And z by dou y is, where will change? With y. So y will be y plus k minus f of xy upon k. So for that, a homogeneous function. What is the homogeneous function? Homogeneous function is an expression in which every term is of the same degree. If every term is having same degree, then we can say this is the homogeneous function. So here degree is n. Here it is n minus 1 and 1. That is n minus 1 plus 1, n again. N minus 2 plus 2, n again. Everywhere degree is n. So that is the homogeneous function. Right. So next is Euler's theorem. Very important theorem. Okay, before Euler's theorem, I want to give you some examples of homogeneous function. So first is 2x plus 3y. Is it homogeneous? Yes, it is homogeneous. Term, first term is having degree 1, second is also having degree 1. So it is homogeneous. Okay, that is next question. Where will be? Okay, this is the question, first question. So by Euler's theorem, free variable, and we know the Euler's theorem. What is the Euler's theorem? Statement, we'll take it once again. Xux plus y, xux x fx plus y fy is equal to n into f. So in this case, it will be xux plus yuy plus zuz. It will be n into u, right? So n is what? N is here 0. So degree. N is nothing but degree. Degree of each term here is 0. So 0 into u, that is 0. So your answer here will be 0. Okay. Next question. X square y upon x raised to 5 by 2 plus y raised to 5 by 2. Then x square uxx plus 2xy uxy plus y square uyy is equal. So first check the degree. So numerator degree is 3 and denominator degree is 5 by 2. So degree of the whole function is 3 minus 5 by 2, that is 1 by 2, right? So n is 1 by 2, and we know by Euler's theorem, for second order, for first order it is nu, and for second order it is n into n minus 1 u. So n 1 by 2 into 1 by 2 minus 1 into u, that is minus 1 by 4 u. So your answer is minus 1 by 4 into u. Next, function is log x square by y. Then question. what is the value of the given function. So u is given log x square by y. Now, if we check the inner degree of the function is 2 minus 1, that is 1, and which is not 0. So this is not a homogeneous function. So for non-homogeneous function, we have a rule. So if this is the rule for non-homogeneous function, what is that? Try to write the given function as in function of u. That is, we have to write separately xy function, and for that we have to write f of u. Okay, then if we take e raised to power on both sides to this, it will be e raised to u and e raised to log of something. So that something will come down, and this is only will be the function of xy, and this is the function of u. So what is the condition? Taking e on both sides, e raised to u is x square by y. Right? Now this is homogeneous. Try to write that f of xy as homogeneous function. So we have written it as homogeneous. It is homogeneous with degree 1 now. And this is equal to f of u. Okay, then I'll show you once again. Then now f of u is a homogeneous function. We have, in this way, we have written our f of u, and where degree is n, then xux plus yuy is n f of u upon f dash of u. And remember, we'll call letter it as capital F of u. Right. So your f of u is x squared by y. So xux plus yuy is n f of u upon f dash u. So n is here 1 degree. F of u is e raised to u. This is your f of u. We have called it f of u. So f of u is e raised to u upon f dash u. Derivative of e raised to u. E raised to u. This can get cancelled. So what remained is 1. Right? And whatever the value we get, we have to call it capital F of u. Right? And then next, let me show. Then by using that capital F of u value, x square, this value will be capital F of u into f dash u minus 1. Okay. So required value, required answer, that is x square uxx plus this will be f of u into f dash u minus 1. That is 1 into f dash u. What is f dash u? F of u is 1. So derivative is 0 minus 1. So answer will be minus 1. So the required answer is minus 1. Remember this is not homogeneous function, so we have to try to write it as homogeneous is some function of u, and then use this formula and call it as capital F, and for the second degree use the formula in capital F, that is f of u into f dash u minus 1. Any doubt you can ask? Okay, we'll go to the next question. If z is sine inverse, then you have asked a question. Can you try? Please try. Please try. This is similar one. I will wait for some time. Please solve it and tell me the answer. Half part is here. Half part is shown to you. Sine inverse. So the given function is upper numerator degree is 1 by 4 and denominator is 1 by 6. So if we solve it, 1 by 4 minus 1 by 6, which will not be 0. So this is a not a homogeneous function, a non-homogeneous function it is. Right. So what we do is we'll take sine on both sides, so that the function on the right hand side will be homogeneous. So it is sine z is x raised to 1 by 4 plus y raised to 1 by 4 upon, just sine will remove, sine inverse will remove, and the remaining function, and whose degree is 1 by 4 minus 1 by 6, that is 2 by 24, that is 1 by 12. And call this function. We cannot call it f of u now as it is z. So call it f of z. Right? So can you tell me x into zx plus y into zy value? X zx plus y zy. Please unmute and tell me the answer. X zx plus y zy. Formula. I am showing last example for your help. So x zx plus y zy I am asking you. So u's role is now playing by z. That is n into f of z upon f dash of z. Remember this formula. Write down. X zx plus y zy is n f of u upon f dash of u. In this case, n f of z upon f dash of z. So n you know, it is 1 by 12. F of z you know, f dash z is you know. So can you just tell me x zx plus y zy?
1 by 12 tan z.
It is 1 by 12 tan z. Let us check. X zx plus y zy is n f of z upon f dash z. It is 1 by 12 into f of z upon f dash z. That is cos sine upon cos, that is 1 by 12 tan z is your, and whatever is this value, you have to call it as capital F of that variable. So capital F of z. And then the required answer, what is asked? It is in double derivative. So double derivative answer is f of z into f dash z minus 1. Of course, capital F, right? So it is tan z by 12 into sec square z by 12 minus 1. So tan z by 12 I'll take outside. That is 12 into 12. Sec square z minus 12. Sec square is nothing but 1 plus tan square. So final answer will be tan square z minus 11 into tan z upon 144. Okay. Next. If z is x square tan inverse y by x plus y raised to minus 2 tan inverse x by y, then you have asked a value x zx y zy plus, that is first part is linear, that is in first derivative, and this is in second derivative, right? So we have to solve this. Z is with us. So first function, if we see, is it homogeneous? So inner part is having degree 1 and numerator 1, denominator 1. So total degree is 0. Okay, that is homogeneous. If degree of inner part is 0, then it is homogeneous. This is homogeneous with degree 0, and this is homogeneous. This is having degree 2. So 2 and 0. So it is degree 2. Homogeneous and degree 2. We'll call this f, first function, f of xy. And second, we'll call this function g. What is the degree here? 1, 1. Inner part, it is inner part. It is transcendental function. So inner part is 1 minus 1, 0. Degree of the inner part is 0. That's why it is homogeneous. Homogeneous into degree. This degree is power is minus 2 and it is 0. So degree is minus 2. Right? We call this as function g. Then for the first part here, x zx plus y zy. Now this is f plus g function. So if only f is there, we are writing degree into f, right? So m is the degree, so mf plus ng. N is the degree of g. If you have any problem, please say. Dhaval, do you have any problem? Please say something. Okay, that is mf plus ng for this. And for this is second order. So here it will be m into m minus 1f and plus n into n minus 1 g. So m is 2, n is minus 2, and we are substituting all the values here. 2f minus 2g plus 2 into 2 minus 1, 2f, n into n minus 1 minus 2 into minus 2 minus 1 minus 3 minus 2 into minus 3, 6. So this is 4f plus 4g, that is 4 into f plus g, but f plus g is nothing but we have called it as f, we have called it as g, and f plus g is z. The answer is 4z. Getting? Any doubt, please say. Okay, here we end Euler's theorem. Very important question can be asked for GATE. Chalo, we'll move to the next, total derivative. So in that, we should have the knowledge of explicit, implicit, and composite functions. So what is explicit function? So a function which we can express as y is some function of x, say. So y is expressible. Y can be expressed as a function of x, or x can be expressed as function of y. Then it is called explicit function. And what is implicit then? Implicit function is we cannot express x as function of y or y as function of x. That is, this function remains itself phi of xy, right? Such form is called implicit. And composite is if that function of xy, for that x we can substitute some function of t and y is some function of other function of t. Then that is called composite function. We can write other variable for that. So it is called composite. So this is explicit and this is implicit. Okay. Then if z is f of xy where x is phi of t and y is psi of t, then this is composite function. Then if z is function of xy and xy are function of t, is it so? Z is function of xy and x and y are function of t. And if we want to take derivative of z with respect to t, then there are in between two variables. We need to think for them. That is, dz by dt will be, z is nothing but f, okay? So dz by dt will be dou z by dou x or dou f by dou x, as we have to introduce x and y in between. So dou f by dou x into dou x by dou t. But we are not writing dou. Why we are not writing dou? Please tell me. We are writing d and not dou. Anyone? Anyone? Unmute and tell. Why are we not writing dou and we are writing d? What is the difference in dou and d?
X is function of single variable.
Yes, x and y are function of t only. X is function of t, y is function of t. Both are function of single variable t. So if it is function of a single variable, there is a total derivative, not a partial derivative. Remember that. So we need not to write dou for that. So it is dou f by dou x, and x is a function of t, so dx by dt. Plus f is also a function of y, so dou f by dou y into dy by dt. Okay, that is also called as chain rule. So the total derivative of z is, if z is some function of xy, it is not composite term, it is just if z is function of xy, then its total derivative dz is dou f by dou x into dx plus dou f by dou y into dt. Remember. Very important note. If f of xy is equal to c is an implicit function, then dy by dx is minus of f of x and not f of x. It is fx. Fx is dou f by dou x and fy is dou f by dou y. So dy by dx is minus fx upon fy. And how do you obtain this? Is by using total derivative. How is this equation? Cross multiply. It will be fx dx is equal to, somewhere it is minus fy dy, and if we take it on one side, fx dx plus fy dy, and is equal to 0. 0 is what? Derivative of constant. Okay, forget that. Just remember dy by dx in case of implicit function is minus fx cross. If x is in the denominator, x will go to the numerator with, and y is in the numerator, it will go to the denominator with the function y. Okay, so we'll take one example. If x raised to y plus y raised to x is c, is it explicit function? Can we express x as y or y as x? No, right? So this is not an explicit function. So it is an implicit function. So it will be as it is. So in case of such implicit functions, dy by dx is formula minus fx upon fy. At some point is asked, we'll think it later. So dy by dx is minus fx upon fy. So minus fx. This is your f. Remember, f of xy. The whole function is equal to c. We call it as f. So fx, derivative with respect to x. Derivative with respect to x raised to y. In case, if we are taking derivative with respect to x, y is constant. So x raised to constant, that is y into x raised to y minus 1 plus derivative of this, that is with respect to x, obviously y raised to x into log y. Correct? Upon fy, that is derivative with respect to y. This is x raised to y log x, and derivative of this with respect to y, it is x into y raised to x minus 1. And we are asked to find it at the point 1, 1. So put x is 1, y is 1 everywhere. So we get 1 raised to something 1, 1 into 1, and log 1. Log 1 is 0, so anything is 0, everything is 0 here. And next is 1 into log 1. Log 1 is again 0, and 1 into 1 raised to 0, that is 1 again. So it is 1, 1 by 1, and minus. So the value is minus 1. Please remember this. Next is, if z is function of xy, where x is
Mummy, maybe can Mummy?
okay. Next is z is f of xy, where x is phi of uv and y is phi of uv. That is z is function of xy and xy is function of u and v. So if you want to find dou z by dou u, it is dou f by dou x into dou x by dou u plus dou f by dou y into dou y by dou u. This is chain rule, we know that. And in case of, if we take derivative with respect to v, x and y are again in between. So dou f by dou x, x by v, dou f by dou y by dou v. This is chain rule. Okay, the next question. If u is x e raised to y z, where y is and z is, then du by dx at 0, 1, 1 is. So du by dx, right? So if we see here, u is function of x, y, z, and it is asked to find du by dx, total derivative with respect to x. So it is what? Actually, u is function of x, y, z, 3 variables. So we have to first take derivative with respect to x, that is dou u by dou x, or we can write du by dx, no problem. So dou u by dou x into, no need to write this term, dx by dx, we know that this is 1 itself, plus dou u by dou y into dy by dx, as y is function of x only, given y is root 1 minus x square. It is function of x, so it is dy by dx, plus u is function of z also, so dou u by dou z into dz by dx. So it is dou u by dou x is e raised to y into z. U, derivative of u with respect to x partial, it is e raised to yz, plus dou u by dou y, it is x e raised to y into z, into dy by dx. It is derivative of root is 1 upon 2 root 1 minus x square into minus 2x, plus dou u by dou z, derivative is x into e raised to y, and derivative of z with respect to x is derivative of cos square x. It is 2 cos x into minus sin x. So it is asked at 0.011. So put x is 0, y is 1 and z is 1 here. We get e raised to 1, that is e, and z is 1. So it is 1. So it is e plus e plus 0 plus 0, that is equal to e. Okay, solve this. This is for you and tell me the answer. What is df by dy?
Hey.
Okay, then df by dy is dou f by dou x. F is function of x and y. So dou f by dou x into dx by, we have to take with respect to y. So dx by dy plus dou f by dou y into dy by dy. No need to write dy by dy, it is 1. So it is 2xy dou f by dou x with respect to x, 2xy into dx by dy. What is dx by dy? We have to find that. And dou f by dou y is x square into 1, right? So df by dx, actually it is df by dy, sorry, it is df by dy. It is 2xy into dx by dy. And if you want to find for this function the derivative of dx by dy or dy by dx for implicit function, this is implicit function, we know the formula. Dx by dy is, if it is x above, then it will be phi y upon phi x and negative sign, right? So minus phi y upon phi x. Phi is this function. So it is minus sign I'm taking outside. So x phi y with respect to derivative is with respect to y. So it is x plus 2y upon derivative with respect to x, it is 2x plus y. And simplifying this, we get the answer. This is the answer. No need to simplify more. This will be your answer. Any doubt? Okay, then we'll move to the next PPT, integration. We know integration f of x dx notation, and from a to b. Method of integration using table. So these are some standard integration formulae. Integration 1 upon ax plus b, it is 1 upon a ln mod ax plus b, or you can write ln of ax plus b plus c. And wherever there is integration which is not finite, we have to add c. C is the arbitrary constant. And integration 1 upon x plus b square, it is minus 1 upon a into 1 upon x plus b. All these are formulae. Few are important in that, like this one. Integration 1 upon a square plus x square. We know it is 1 upon a tan inverse x upon a. So this will be second next one, integration f dash upon f of x. We know it is ln log of f of x. Next, more important it is this formula, integration dx upon x square minus a square. It is 1 upon 2a ln log of x minus a upon x plus a. I'm just showing you important one. So it is next. Later I'll send you PPT. You can check all the formulas. Next formula, integration dx upon square root x square plus minus a square. That is ln x plus root x square plus minus a square. Next formula, this one, integration e raised to x sin bx. It is e raised to ax upon a square plus b square into a sin bx minus b cos bx. Next is integration e raised to ax cos bx, e raised to ax upon a square plus b square, a cos bx plus b sin bx. Okay, standard integration solving. We first is by using some substitution. We can use some substitution and solve. Next, integration by parts. Okay, this one is need to note it. Derivative of u into v is u into derivative v plus v into derivative u. So taking integration on both sides, we get integration and derivative get cancelled, and in such case integration derivative cancel, it is just u, right, is equal to integration of u dv plus integration of v du, and that is, from this we get integration u dv is equal to uv minus integration v du. Okay, then integration by partial fraction is there. We know that. So the standard one I'm not focusing here. We know how to how to write partial fraction, how to separate the functions by using partial fraction, and how to solve. So I'm just focusing on the formula now. Integration 1 upon x minus a is ln of x minus a. Integration 1 upon a square plus x square, it is 1 upon a tan inverse x upon a. And integration x upon a square plus x square, it is 1 by 2 into log of a square plus x square. Okay, and then integration using substitution, trigonometric substitution. So far, somewhere if we see root of a square minus x square, this term, then you have to use the substitution. X is a sine theta. And for root a square plus x square, use x is a tan theta. If minus x square, then a sine theta. If plus x square, and both are plus, then a tan theta. And then plus x square, but minus a square, then a sec theta. Okay, we'll move ahead. Definite integrals. Definite integrals means if limits are there for the integration, that is if integration is from a to b. Suppose integration of f of x is capital F of x, and then we have to apply the limits a to b. How to apply? We'll first write b there, f of b minus f of a. This is called definite integral. So in this case, some important properties are, the first property is the value of the definite integral remains the same with the change of variables of integration. So if we write f of x dx is f of y dy, there will be no problem. Variable is immaterial in this case, so we can change x by y or x by any other variable. Second, integration a to b f of x dx is equal to, if we want to change the integration limits a to b to a, then what will be the change? It will be minus of the integration. So integration AB is minus of integration B to A. Next is integration A to B f of x is, if you want to separate it C, but that C should be in A to B. If C should be in the interval AB, then we can write integration A to C plus integration C to B f of x dx. And 0 to 2A integration, we can write 0 to A f of x dx plus a to 2a f of x dx, and we can also write it as, remember this is important formula, integration 0 to 2a f of x dx is integration 0 to a f of x dx plus integration 0 to a itself f of 2a minus x dx. Please remember this formula, we have to use in solving the examples. Integration 0 to 2a is 0 to a plus 0 to a itself, but function is f of 2a minus x instead of f of x. Next is integration 0 to a f of x dx is same as integration 0 to a f of a minus x dx. Next, integration minus a to a f of x dx. I think we have seen this formula in class. If upper lower limits are just a sign change there, then integration minus a to a f of x dx is 2 times 0 to a f of x dx if the function is even, and if the function is odd, then the value of the integration is 0. But what it should be, integration should be minus 2 plus of the same number, minus a to a. Next formula, integration 0 to na, so we can write n here and integration of 0 to a f of x dx, but this is only possible if the function is periodic. Remember, periodic function sin x, cos x, tan x. In that case only, if integration 0 to na f of x, then n can be written outside the integration and integration 0 to a f of x dx, but the function should be periodic with period a. Okay, next, definite integrals theorem. So first theorem, it is standard. Integration a to b f of x, if integration is f, then f of b minus f of a. So first, d by dx of integration v of x, these are variable limits, f of x dx. You have seen this in M2, I think. Integration variable limits. What was that topic? Derivative. I'll tell you. Wait. Then it is, if such thing is there, then it is f of v dv by dt minus f of u du by dt. And this is the formula, Leibniz theorem of integration. It is u v1 minus u dash v2 plus u double dash v3 minus so on. So u dash, u double dash, these are derivative, and v1, v2, v3, these are integration. And when do you use this formula? When derivative of u will be 0 up to some derivative like u double dash, u triple dash, and somewhere it is 0, then only we can use, and v should be the integrable function. This is Leibniz theorem. I know this. This is the Leibniz theorem. Just I remember Leibniz theorem. Properties. Same properties repeated again. Here is one more important property. Integration of f of x, fourth one, upon f of x plus, what is that? A and B are integration limits. So this is, we have seen integration 0 to a f of x is f of a minus x dx. So I will be here again. That is integration a to b f of x upon f of x plus f of a plus b minus x. What are a and b are limits of integrations. So if f of a plus b minus x is there, then its value is b minus a by 2. B is upper limit of integration, a is lower limit of integration. So it is integration 2 to 5 root x upon root x plus root 7 minus x. So if we see this is f of x, this is f of x, and this is f of a plus b minus x, right? So for this, we can directly write the answer b minus a upon 2, that is 5 minus 2 upon 2, that is 3 by 2. Next is minus a to a f of x is 0 to a f of x plus 0 to a f of minus x. Next formula, 0 to 2a is 2 times 0 to a f of x dx if f of 2a minus x is f of x, and if f of 2a minus x is minus of f of x, that is first condition is if it is even and second condition is if it is odd, then it is directly 0. Next, integration 0 to a x into f of x dx is a by 2 integration 0 to a f of x dx if f of a minus x is f of x. Next formula, integration 0 to pi by 2 sine raised to nx dx or integration 0 to pi by 2 cos raised to nx dx. This we have seen in beta gamma beta function. So what is the value? So if it is n, so n minus 1, start with n minus 1 in the numerator, then minus 2, minus 2, minus 2, n minus 1, n minus 3, n minus 5, up to so on, up to 2r1, and we have to stop. And in the denominator, start with n, n minus 2, n minus 4, and so on, up to 3 or 2, and we have to stop. And into k is there, and that k is pi by 2 if n is even, and k is 1 if n is odd. Similarly, if sin raised to m, cos raised to n is there, then it is start with m minus 1, m minus 3, 2, 2, 2, subtract 2, 2, 2, and then 2 or 1, and then again similarly for this n minus 1, n minus 3, and in the denominator start with m plus n and subtract 2, 2, 2, and up to 2 or 1, then into k, and that k is pi by 2 if both are even, m and n, power of sine and power of cos, both are even, then it is pi by 2 into, and otherwise it is 1 only. So next one question is there, integration minus 1 by 2 to 1 by 2 cos x into log 1 plus x upon 1 minus x dx is equal to, value is asked. So first of all, we'll check integration limits. Limits are minus a to a form. It is easier then. If the function is odd, then the value is directly 0, we know. So we'll check the function. Cos function is a even function always. And log of this function you have to check. How to check? Check f of minus x. So it will be log of 1 minus x upon 1 plus x. Numerator is denominator and denominator is numerator. And if you want to convert it into again the previous function like this, so there will be negative sign. We know log a by b is minus log b by a, right? So it is minus log of 1 minus x upon 1 plus x. So function will have negative sign, that is function is odd. So even into odd is odd. And integration minus 2 plus of odd is 0. So answer is 0. This is your question. Tell me answer. As limits are minus pi to pi, your first thing is you have to check even odd. So given function is a even. Sign is odd, but it is having power 6. Sign raised to 6. So odd raised to even power. The function is even. And in case even, how to write integration minus a to a? It is 2 times 0 to a. So it is 2 times 0 to pi sine raised to 6x dx. Right. So it is, but we have a formula for 0 to pi by 2. So 0 to pi, how can you write 0 to pi as 0 to pi by 2? So here is the answer. F of 2a minus x, that is f of 2 pi minus x. F is sine raised to 6, 2 pi minus theta, that is sine raised to 6x. That is, if we calculate f of 2a minus x is f of x only, that is function is periodic. F of 2a minus x is f of x, this is even. So we know the formula, integration 0 to pi of f of x can be written as 2 times 0 to pi by 2. Right. So it is 2 times 2 into 2, 4. 0 to pi by 2 is sine raised to 6. And now we can use the formula. We start with n minus 1. So 6 minus 1, 5. Subtract 2, 3. Subtract 2, 1. And for denominator, start with n itself. 6, 4, 2. And then stop. And if power of n is even, then into pi by 2. And if power is odd, then into 1. So it is even, so into pi by 2. Solving, we'll get 5 pi by 8. The answer is 5 pi by 8. Shall solve this? Forget x. Forget x. Don't take x. Just write integration 0 to pi sine raised to 4x into cos raised to 6x dx. I think x is not there. Yes, x is not there. Sure, I'll show you answer. So this is Okay, next question. Solve this. Integration 0 to 2 pi mod x sin x dx is equal to k pi is given to you. Then find the value of k. Take some time and find the value of k. Okay, here is the answer. Sin x is positive for 0 to pi and negative for pi to 2 pi. Just check. Sin 0, sin pi is there in between, there is pi by 2, so sin pi by 2 is 1. So everywhere it is positive. And if we go for from pi to pi to 2 pi, the function value of sin x will be negative. So we'll separate this as integration 0 to pi and pi to 2 pi. And in 0 to pi, as sin x is positive, and in this interval x will not have any problem. 0 to pi, all values are positive, so 0 to pi x into sin x mod will be x sin x. And in pi to 2 pi, the value of the function is negative, so it is minus x sin x. So it is solving this integration by Leibniz theorem, we get x into minus cos x u v1 minus u dash v2 minus second function, and applying limits we get 4 pi. Answer is 4 pi. So it is given k pi. So k is 4. Your answer is 4 pi and they have given us k pi. So comparing them, we get k is equal to 4. Next question. Integration 0 to 1 greatest integer function x dx is equal to the answer. Do you know what is greatest integer function? So greatest integer function is where that x is lies in n to n plus 1, but it is close to n. So wherever it is 7.2 and there is a close bracket 7.2, so its value is 7. Similarly for 7.999 also it is 7, and for 7 also it is 7. So it is greatest integer function of that integer. That is greatest integer function of x is x itself. So it is, if you want to solve this, integration 0 to n is, then we separate it as 0 to 1, because in every 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, there will be different integer function, right? So it is 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, we are separating, and up to n minus 1 to n. And for 0 to 1, what will be the greatest integer function? That will be 0. In 1 to 2, it is 1. And in 2 to 3, it is 2. And similarly, in n minus 1 to n, it is n minus 1. So solving this integration part, we get x 2 minus 1. 2 outside, integration dx is x 3 minus 2, and so on, n minus 1 into n minus 1. So it is 1 plus 2 plus 3 up to n minus 1. So up to n minus 1, we know addition of first n terms, it is n into n plus 1 upon 2. Addition of first n terms is equal to n into n plus 1 by 2. So it is addition of first n minus 1 terms. So it is n minus 1 into n minus 1 plus 1. Minus 1 plus 1 cancel. So it is just n. N minus 1 into n upon 2. Okay, try this. Next question. See if you are getting answer. Anyone is getting? Please reply. Are you getting answer? Okay, I'll show. Integration of log of tan x, and this is same as integration of 0 to pi by 2 log of tan pi by 2 minus x. We know the formula. Integration 0 to a f of x is integration 0 to a f of a minus x dx. Right. So log of this is same as I is same as log of tan pi by 2 minus x. And we know tan of pi by 2 minus theta is cot theta. So it is cot x. And this is integration of log of cot x. I is this now. And if we'll add I plus I, our previous I is integration 0 to pi by 2 log tan x. And now we have find it as integration 0 to pi by 2 log of cot x dx. So integration is common, log a plus log b, that is log a into b. Log a into b, that is tan x into cot x. Cot x is 1 upon tan x cancel. So this is log 1 dx, and integration log 1 is 0. Value of log 1 is 0. So integration 0 is 0. That is 2I is 0. That is I is 0. So the value of the integration is 0. Use the formula and solve. Again, next. Integration minus pi to pi cos square x upon 1 plus a raised to x dx is equal to. I'm waiting for some time. Solve. If you can solve, just share the answer with me. I will give you some time. Getting anyone? Okay, I'll show you. Integration of cos square x is, if it is minus pi to pi, we'll write 0 to pi and 0 to pi. 0 to pi, it is f of x as it is, and for second 0 to pi, we have to write f of minus x. We have formula, we have seen it. 0 to pi, minus a to a can be written as integration 0 to a f of x plus integration 0 to a f of minus x, right? So it is 0 to pi cos square function as it is plus 0 to pi will give minus x. So it is cos square x upon 1 plus a raised to x, and this is cos square of minus, as cos is a even function, cos of minus is cos itself, so it is cos square x only. But in the denominator there is 1 plus a raised to minus x, and that 1 plus a raised to minus x will create some problem, right? So we'll try to write it same as the denominator 1 plus a raised to x. And how can we do that? We'll take a raised to minus x outside for that, right? If a raised to minus x is outside from this, here it is 1 and here it is 1 upon 1 plus a raised to minus x, right? So 1 plus 1 upon a raised to minus x, that is a raised to x. So it is 1 plus a raised to x, and we have already taken a raised to minus x outside. That will go to the numerator as a raised to x. Getting? So this is 1 plus a raised to x. Denominator is same now. So we are combining it. 1 plus a raised to x. So cos square is common. Taking outside 1 plus a raised to x in the numerator also. Cancelled. Remained it just cos square x, and cos square x is 1 plus cos 2x by 2. So integrate now. We can integrate x by 2 plus sine 2x by 4. 2 into 2. So it is from 0 to pi. And apply limits pi by 2. Sine 2 pi 0, sine 0 0 0. Everything is 0. So answer is pi by 2. Just we should know all the formulae of integration. It is easy then. Okay, can you solve this now? Please try it. Let d by dx is f of x. It is e raised to sine x upon x, and integration 1 to 4, 2 into e raised to sine x square upon x dx is f of k minus f of 1, then k is equal to. Just try. Try for some time. Are you getting? See here, it is given. Integration as given, derivative of f of x is e raised to sine x upon x. So if we want just f of x, take integration on both sides. So integration derivative get cancelled and it will be f of x only. F of x is integration e raised to sine x upon x dx. This is given to you. And this is also given. So we'll consider this given thing, that is integration 1 to 4 2 e raised to sine x square upon x dx. But there is a problem with x square. So we'll substitute that. Wherever we think we cannot deal with that, just substitute that term. So x square is t, that is 2x, dx is dt. So dx is dt by 2x, but x is root t, so dt by root t, right? So that is, and if x limit, if x is 1, t is 1. If x is 4, t is 16. So we are converting everything into t. So integration becomes 1 to 16, 2 as it is, e raised to sine t, x square is t, upon x, x is root t, and into dx, dx is dt by root t, 2 root t, sorry, 2 to get cancelled, root t into root t is t, e raised to sine t into dt. And this is what? Integration e raised to sine x upon x dx. Is it? Just it is t. So variables are immaterial. We already know that. But integration e raised to sine x dx upon x, we know it is f of x, right? So it is f of x, but we have limits for that also. So upper limit is 16, lower limit is 1. So f of 16 minus f of 1, so your k is 16. Getting? Any doubt? Please ask. Okay, then we move ahead. Next is improper integral. Improper integral, first kind, second kind. What is that? First kind, improper integral. If integration a to b f of x dx is said to be of first kind improper integral, if either a or b is infinity. So first kind is a is minus infinity or b is minus infinity, or both are minus infinity to infinity, something. So if it is something infinity is there, then it is called first kind. Second kind is a and b are finite. Now a and b are not infinity, they are finite, but f of x is infinite for some value of x in ab. If this function is becoming infinite, then it is second kind. If integration limits are itself infinity, then this is first kind. Next, convergence. If integration of f of x dx is having finite value, then it is said to be convergent, otherwise it is divergent. We know that. If it has just some finite value, then it is convergent, otherwise divergent. So the question is, find the convergence of the following improper integral. Limit a tends to infinity, integration 1 to a, 1 upon x raised to 4 dx. We have to take limit as a tends to infinity. So a will be infinity here. So that term becomes integration 1 to infinity 1 upon x raised to 4 dx. And solving this integration, we get minus 1 by 3 x cube from 1 to infinity. That is applying limits 0 minus minus, that is plus 0 upon 1 by 3. 0 plus 1 by 3, that is 1 by 3. And it has a finite value. So the given improper integral. Is it improper? Yes. It is first time, as any one of the integration limit or both we can say it is infinity, so it is of first kind. And it has a finite value, so it is convergent. Next, integration. This is again II of first kind, as it is minus infinity. So integration of sine hyperbolic, it is cos hyperbolic from minus infinity to 0. So it is e raised to x plus e raised to minus x upon 2 from minus infinity to 0. It is 1 plus 1 by 2. 2 by 2, 1 minus lower limit. If we apply lower limit minus infinity, here it is e raised to minus infinity. So that is 1 upon infinity 0. But here it is e raised to minus of minus infinity, that is e raised to infinity. And one term, if any one term is becoming infinity, everything is going to infinity. So the limit is infinity, and that is we call divergent improper integral. The given improper integral II is divergent. Next, integration minus infinity to infinity x into e raised to minus x square. As this is minus infinity to plus infinity, we have to check for even odd. This is odd, this is even. So overall it is odd, and so answer is 0. And answer 0, that is finite, so it is convergent. Next, integration minus 1 to 1, root 1 plus x upon 1 minus x. So what we do here is, we are multiplying it by root 1 plus x numerator and denominator also. So multiply by root 1 plus x, we get numerator 1 plus x upon denominator is root 1 minus x square. 1 plus x, 1 minus x. Right? So it is 1 separating 1 upon root 1 minus x square plus x upon root 1 minus x square from minus 1 to 1 itself. So in this, the function is even. If we change x by minus x, there will be no problem. Everything will remain same. So function is even. And this function is, if we change x by minus x, this function is same, but this will change sign. So this function is odd. Right? The integration of even, integration of odd is 0. But integration of even, it is 2 times 0 to 1. 1 upon root 1 minus x square dx. But this integration is a standard one. This is sine inverse x from 0 to 1. So sine inverse 1. Sine which value is 1? Sine pi by 2 is 1. Right? So it is 2 into pi by 2 minus sine inverse 0 is 0. That is 2 into pi by 2, that is pi. So the answer is pi. Good. Next, integration minus 1 to 1, 1 by x square. So here, function is, I think, even, right? So we can write 2 times 0 to 1, 1 by x square. It is separate and solve here, but we can directly write 2 times 0 to 1, 1 by x square, and it is integration of 1 by x square minus 1 by x. 2 is outside from 0 to 1, and this is what? 0 is there, so 1 by 0, that is infinity. Somewhere infinity is there. If any one time or 2 time or 3 time, how many times it is infinity there, it is a divergent function, remember. So infinity minus infinity and it is 0. Please don't do that. Infinity minus infinity is never 0. This is a infinity itself. This is divergent. So it is divergent improper integral. Here it is given. If we split the integral to check convergent, all part must be convergent. Okay, there should not be any infinity. And to check divergent, only one part is sufficient to be divergent. Eka thikani, only one, at only one place, if it is infinity, then it is divergent. Okay, next is comparison test. So what is the comparison test is? If 0 is less than f of x is less than or equal to g of x, and if that g of x, integration of g of x dx is convergent, then the function integration f of x dx is also convergent. This is the case. Integration a to b f of x dx is convergent if that integration g of x dx is convergent. And this is exactly opposite in case of divergent. For convergent, the greater side function is convergent, then only the function on less side is convergent. Okay, and for divergent, if the function on lesser side is divergent, then function on greater side is divergent. That is, integration g of x diverges if integration of f of x is divergent. Right? Okay, so limit forms are there. So if f of x and g of x be two positive functions such that limit f of x upon g of x is equal to L, if we take the limit as x tends to infinity, f of x upon g of x, and if it is L, and that L is non-zero and finite, right? And then we can say integration f of x dx and integration g of x dx either both converges or both diverges together. We have seen this in M2. If both the functions are given, and if we check the limit as x tends to infinity, f upon g, if it is L, and this L is non-zero finite number, and then we can say integration f and g both converges or both diverges together. Right? This is for first kind. For second kind, if f of x and g of x be two functions such that if any one function is divergent, f of x is divergent function at some x is c, then limit x tends to c will take f of x upon g of x, similar to this. But this is both the functions were convergent in first kind, and in second kind, if any one function is divergent, then we take limit, if it is L is again non-zero finite number, then integration f and g both converges or both diverges together. One more note, integration a to infinity 1 upon x raised to p dx, where a is greater than 0, is convergent if p is greater than 1, and is divergent if p is less than equal to 1. Okay, for example, examples are there. Integration 1 to infinity, lower limit is 1, which is greater than 1. A is greater than, that a should be greater than 0. Yes, it is 1. Here, your a should not be 0. Lower limit should not be 0. Okay, then only you can use the this property. Then it is nothing but x into root x, 1 plus 1 by 2, that is 3 by 2, and 3 by 2 is greater than 1. Is it? Yes. So if it is greater than 1, if that p is 3 by 2, if it is greater than 1, then function given integral is convergent. So given integral is convergent. For second, it is cube root. Cube root of x. Cube root means x raised to 1 by 3, and here is not 0. So x raised to 1 by 3, 1 by 3 is less than 1. So given integral is divergent. Okay, these are definitions. Integration a to b 1 upon x minus a raised to p dx. It is convergent if it is totally opposite now. Just see. It is 1 upon x raised to p for earlier, a to infinity. If p greater than 1, it is convergent, and for p less than equal to 1, it is divergent. And in this case, if it is x minus a raised to p, a is the lower limit, x minus a raised to p, then it is convergent if p is less than 1 and divergent if p is greater than equal to 1. And similarly, a to b integration, and if it is b minus x, for lower limit x minus a, for upper limit b minus x raised to p, and then it is convergent if similarly p is less than 1 and divergent if p is greater than equal to 1. Okay, our meeting is getting stopped in 3 minutes, so I think remaining part will take tomorrow. Wait, but I will back to, I stop sharing and I'll come to you to take snapshots. Do you want to on your video, please? If you are in a good mood, please on your video so that I can take snapshots. Kavya, please unmute.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you getting?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Good.
करते हैं मैम सब.
Okay,
हाँ.
good. Who else want to talk? No one? Please talk to me. If you are talking, please unmute, or I'll not listen to you. Okay, any suggestion to go slow, to go fast, anything? Anything you want to say? Are you solving in between? If I'll give you some questions, are you solving them? Are you trying at least? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, you are trying. Yetat ka gamtat ka?
Yes, ma'am.
Gamtat solve karayla.
Yes.
Pranali,
So,
Mate. Are you solving, beta?
yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Okay, this is going to end soon. Anything else you want to share? Aditya, you want to share something?